Good morning everyone. I just wanted to shoot a very quick video for you guys on how to mix resin with very minimal bubbles. So I don't actually weigh my resin because sometimes certain resins actually have different weights. So part A may weigh more or less than part B and vice versa. So I always do it by the milliliters, the mils. I find I've always had a perfect consistency. I've never had any issues with it not curing or anything like that. I've used a few different resins now, and again, I've not had any issues with curing. So I generally do 2 parts A, 1 part B in your milliliters. So I've got, in this little cup, I've got 30 milliliters in here, so 30 mils. And I know I've got a rather large cup that I'm going to be mixing it into, but it's the only clear plastic cup that I've got. I've got those silicone cups, but they're not clear, and I wanted you to see how well this mixes with the technique that I've learnt along the way. So I'm just going to get every last piece of resin out that I can, because you don't want to waste any, because it's far too expensive to waste. And then I'll put my part B in there, and then I'll show you what I do. Alright, so that's my part A. So that's 30 milliliters, 30 mils. This one is 15 milliliters, so 15 mils of part B. I'll put it in there. Very gently. I'll scoop that out. It's quite thin, so it will come out really well anyway, but I'll just give it a bit of a helping hand. Okay, so there's my part B. Now, with whatever stirring implement you decide to use, I'm using a pop stick or a paddle pop stick. But it's a large one. I use this for, these I use for when I do waxing, because I used to be a hairdresser and beauty therapist, so I had a lot of these lying around, but I went back to school to do nursing, and now I'm a nurse. So these I use for the big cups, well, generally for most of my mixing. I find the smaller sticks, they're okay, but I get a lot more movement with the bigger ones. So what I do is I make sure that the stick touches the bottom of the cup, and then just ever so gently you're stirring. Never take the stick off the bottom of your cup, because that's when the bubbles really happen. So you just want to do it gently. And whilst you're doing that, you also want to make sure you get into all the sides. Again, not lifting your stick, just getting through all the little cup crack crevices, I think you would call it, and down the sides as well, because you don't want any stringy bits in there. If you see any stringy lines in there, it means that it hasn't actually mixed properly. And the resin generally takes anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. I rather do it longer than the shorter time, to make sure it's completely mixed really well. So we're mixing, we're not lifting the mixing implement at all. We're keeping it on the bottom of the cup at all times. Excuse me, got a frog in my throat this morning. And you know, you can mix in all different directions. There's no rules or regulations on which way you mix it. It's whatever makes you feel comfortable. The main rule of mixing is that I found is to always maintain a connection between the bottom of your cup and the mixing implement you're using. So I don't know if you can see, that's really quite clear. I haven't lifted my stick up once at all. I'm just mixing, and you are going to get a few bubbles here and there. That's absolutely fine. But when I first started doing resin, I mixed and yeah, I had a few paperweights made out of the resin that had lots of bubbles in it. So I did a lot of investigating to try and figure out exactly what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. And then we're just going to go down the sides again, not lifting your stick up at all. Okay, so that's been about 5 minutes, maybe just under 5 minutes. And that's mixed really well. I can't see any stringy lines in there whatsoever. That looks really good. Okay, so if you have a look, see there's a few little tiny bubbles, but it's really quite clear. There's hardly any bubbles in there at all, which is really great. So once I put this on some projects that I'm working on, it will be nice and clear with very minimal bubbles. And those bubbles that you do have in there, the really tiny ones, you know, they'll rise to the top. And if it's mixed really well, they'll rise to the top, and then you can just torch them with either your long nose lighter or your heat gun. So it won't take much at all, but that is so clear. Look how beautiful that is. So I'm super happy that I've actually mastered this technique, because as I said, it took me lots and lots of goes, but practice makes perfect. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, or if you have any questions, or if there's anything you want me to make. I can try and see how I go, but I really hope this has helped you guys with mixing resin. So the more you guys educate yourself on how to do certain things with resin, the less resin you're going to waste, which is fantastic, because it is not cheap to make mistakes with. But anyway, there you go. What do you think? I'm super happy with that. All right, you have a wonderful day, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend if it's the weekend for you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks.